Okay, Internet. We need to talk. As many Smash fans are aware, the upcoming Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has brought some really great changes to the fighting franchise. Some of them have been bringing characters back from the dead. Some have been changing just the way a character looks in minor instances. One of those instances has been changing the fairly static Mr. Game & Watch to incorporate some more looks that are traditional to the originating series, the thing that started Nintendo off in the gaming franchise to begin with. And some of those games have not aged well. If you clicked on this video, you know where I'm going with this. This is concerning the recent controversy that the update to Mr. Game & Watch's moveset has encouraged. Controversy is often encouraged on the internet. In fact, I think that's one of the only things that the internet exists for. Now, this controversy is not centered around Game & Watch himself as a whole. It is centered around one single move that Game & Watch does that is not a problem with even the move itself, but in fact just in the way that the move has been portrayed in this game as opposed to any of the previous Smash appearances for Mr. Game & Watch. Oh god, I'm not even supposed to be drinking beer because I'm gluten intolerant. My own body is offended by me! This attack has caused a lot of controversy over the last few days because it is racist. Alright, try to keep up. Now I'm going to fill you in on what got us to this point of calling Mr. Game & Watch racist, if you were unaware of the controversy, if you don't really know the situation. If you do know the situation and you want to skip forward, you can just click on the whatever link is going to be around to get to that time frame. But it's a short video. I think that we can all benefit from just sitting tight for a minute. Mr. Game & Watch is a Nintendo character who originates way back in the 80s, early 80s, way back. Back to a point where Nintendo was just getting their feet wet in the concept of gaming as an entertainment medium. And in Smash Brothers, he represents that entire era. There were several Game & Watch games. At the time, a game was a whole little console. So there were several types of gaming devices called a Game & Watch, where you played those little tiny like LCD things. You may have seen them, you know, around, like there's like a Garfield one, there's like a Sonic one, like all kinds of these little LCD 2-button contraptions. So Game & Watch had many of those that in Smash Brothers his moves derive from, and in most cases are named after. In Smash Brothers Ultimate, Sakurai said, you know, Game & Watch is a very simple character, generally, compared to the rest. So why don't we just try and spruce him up a little bit. We're going to take his concept one step further. Instead of Game & Watch just using moves from Game & Watch games, why don't we have him physically sort of transform into some of these characters. He's done this a little bit in the past since his very first appearance in Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee. They dug in a little bit and said, hey, you know that side smash that he does, a fire attack? Let's actually make him look like the characters in the fire attack Game & Watch game that are doing the fire attack. The only problem with that is that the characters doing that attack are engines. We don't like to do that no more. I'm going to provide a link in the description where you can actually watch this game being played. It is, admittedly, kind of a racist game. There's just no way of getting around it. The whole thing is centered around you're like an Alamo cowboy, and you're at your fort, you're trying to defend it from these natives who are coming up to your little fort and trying to light it on fire. So you have to stop them from doing that. It wouldn't necessarily be a problem if it weren't for the fact that the depiction of these natives is quite in tune with the regular stereotype of a Native American. They have the big, wide, angry grin. They've got the feather headdress. They wield the fire. You know, Native Americans are often seen as having an association with fire. You can see that in Peter Pan. You can see that in even another Nintendo game, Super Mario Land 2, where a feather grants you the power to spit fire, which has never been done before that, hasn't been done after that. So this was a game that did not age well, and now we're harkening back to that in a game that's happening in 2018, where we're much more conscious about things that could be seen as a little insensitive. So maybe you don't want to put a racist thing in your game that's going to make some people think that you're being kind of racist. So here's the thing. You can see the depiction of Game & Watch here with the just regular fire attack as it's been up to this point. And now here you can see where it's been updated for Smash Ultimate to be more true to the game that the attack originates from. This was first reported on Eurogamer, but was spotted during the Direct by several people on Thursday from the several fans watching on Twitter and Reddit that this move, the look, not okay. People not into that. Native Americans are quite sensitive, reasonably so, to anyone using the depiction of a Native American, whether it's stereotypical or not. And this is not an across-the-board feeling about this certain move. There are, of course, plenty of Native Americans who think independently of any conglomerate culture think, because they're all people and they have the ability and right to think for themselves. So not everyone's offended by this, but there are some Native American peoples who are Smash fans who have seen this and said, why would you decide to do this now, of all times? You've never done this before, and now all of a sudden this guy's got a freaking feather on his head, he's shooting fire, he's got a loincloth, he's just sad, like, I don't know, why are you doing this? So the internet went abuzz. There was some backlash on social media regarding this change to Game & Watch's moveset. And so Nintendo has responded accordingly and said, hey, this look, not happening no more. It's kaput. And of course, there was push from one side, and now that Nintendo has said, okay, we'll meet you there. Now the other side has said, well, no, now you went too far. Now you got to bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. So the current controversy of the week is this racist or is this not racist? If it not racist, is it SJW? Is this NSFW? And I just want to throw my 2 cents in here because I think that there is oftentimes a lot of animosity that happens on the internet because it's the internet, and it makes me sad. Just like butting heads so violently over something that everyone's supposed to just have fun over. Okay, so I just want to explain why Nintendo made this change. So just hear me out for a few minutes more, and I'm going to explain it. Hopefully you walk away with a nicer perspective on the whole thing. Was this a racist move of Sakurai, of the development team, of Nintendo as a whole, to change the look of one of Game & Watch's moves to reflect the game that move originated from. I mean, say what you want. Me saying it as a white dude, no. I don't think that this was a racist move. It did not obviously have racist intent. It was merely harkening back to the game that the move pulls from. But hold on, okay? Because I don't want anyone losing their yet. While I'm not personally offended by the incorporation of the feather and the loincloth and the fire and the iron, I am totally fine with it being removed, because you know why? We never had it to begin with. They tried something different. It didn't really work out. These types of development snafus happen all the time. Now, the reason I think that people are overreacting to the initial controversy of the feather and the loincloth and the highway is that Japan is notorious for stereotypes in several places. Nintendo, in particular, I mean, all of Punch-Out is a stereotype. It's just Epcot Stereotype Edition, right? So, you know, and then you've got Mario Odyssey. You remember we had the controversy a little while back where he was wearing the poncho and the sombrero. They never do this to harm anyone. They never do it to put their thumb down on one person or group of people. And while there are plenty of people, native or non-native American, who are offended by its sudden inclusion, there are just as many native, non-native people who are not offended by it. And so, you know, whose voice do you ignore? It tends to end up, you know, honestly, if you can offend even one less person, then just take that road. So that's what Nintendo has decided to do here in this sense. But now, hold on, for some of you who are like, oh, but he said it wasn't offensive, and now he's okay with it being taken away. SJW! They want to censor the game, and what's next for Smash Brothers? What's next for Nintendo? They already took away, like, this, and that, and now they're saying this feather is racist. It's just a feather, it's just a move. So why are they taking it away? But here's the thing. This was done over 15 years ago. In the early 2000s, Nintendo decided to do a re-release of a lot of these Game & Watch games. They wanted to revisit those classics that started them off way back when. And so they did a series of games, I think it was 4, called Game & Watch Gallery for the Game Boy Advance, where they had compilations of these old Game & Watch games. Fire Attack was re-released in Game & Watch Gallery 4. In this game, Nintendo, this was of their own volition, changed the characters in Fire Attack to no longer represent Native Americans. They turned them into generic bandits. And this is because Japan looked at the game, said, let's make this a bit more accessible for everyone. Let's not push any buttons here. Let's not reinforce these racist stereotypes. So they changed the game. Flash forward another 16 years to a couple of days ago, and here we are looking at the final Super Smash Bros. Direct, and Game & Watch has this look about him in a game that Nintendo looked at 16 years ago and corrected. So when this is pointed out to Nintendo, they were like, yeah, no, we're with you. We didn't want this to begin with. A lot of people seem to believe that the public outcry is what made Nintendo say, "Oh no, we gotta change this. We don't want anyone in 2018 mad at us." Because you know they haven't been mad at us for any other reasons. But this was most certainly not because of the recent blast that Game & Watch was given over the recent Direct. If you look at the statement that Nintendo put out, let me pull out my technology again. So this is when Kotaku reached out for a comment. Okay, here's what Nintendo had to say. Nintendo has been planning to distribute an update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate that removes the feather from the silhouette of Mr. Game & Watch. The original game on which this depiction of the character is based was released more than 3 decades ago and does not represent our company values today. We sincerely apologize that this change was not noticed in our marketing material and are continuing our work to make Super Smash Bros. Ultimate an experience that is both welcoming and fun for everyone. So, your takeaway from this. Here are the key points here. Nintendo has been planning to distribute an update for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So they already were aware that this was happening, and they missed it in some of this footage, right? It's not that they didn't even notice that, you know, oh, it's in the game. Oh, we sincerely apologize that this change was not noticed in our marketing material. I believe that Nintendo was not keeping a super close eye on the development of this game because Sakurai's a genius and they let him generally do his own thing for his artistic process. The game is so large that I think it took them a while to figure out that something like this innocuous move from Mr. Game & Watch was changed to represent some history that they aren't proud of anymore. And when they did, they were like, yo dude, great work, but here's the thing. This is not something that we want anymore. We didn't want it 10 years ago. We don't want it now. Can you change it? And they were like, yeah, no, okay, dude, we got it. And then it happened to slip into some of that marketing material for the Direct because this whole thing has been meticulously planned. And so this thing, Nintendo already knew about and wanted to change, again, of their own volition. It wasn't a matter of, oh, SJWs are offended by this, so we're going to have to take it out so that they buy our games. No, that's not what happened. This controversy that we're having right now is really all based on aftermath, right? It was just a slip that was gonna maybe happen and then ended up not happening, and we're all upset about it. I don't think that it was right for us to be so enraged in the first place, but I also think that it's just as dumb to be enraged that it was taken away. Because we were never going to get it. It was something that Nintendo knew was a problem 15 years ago, knew that it was a problem when it slipped in, I don't know, a month ago. I don't know when they saw it, but they definitely wanted it to change before the Direct happened. So we're all sort of barking at each other for no reason. And like I said before, it just makes me sad. Because Game & Watch is going to be, for a little while, just sort of tainted by this whole thing. And I don't want that to happen, because he's just a good dude. You know, he just gets up, like all of us, every day, trying to do his game and job. That's the world's dream, is to game and job. And that's the cycle. I hope you liked this video. If you did, why don't you leave a comment down below about your personal feelings on the matter. Let's try and not be, vicious about it or, biting in any way. I'm not trying to take digs at people over this. Like I said, I really just want us to be civil about the whole thing because it's just games. Games are supposed to be fun. Just have some fun. Okay. So yeah, if you liked this, I want to thank you so much for watching. I do look forward to seeing you in a video where I do things that are not like this at all. But yeah, make sure you ring that bell, ding 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 ding, for the upcoming videos at Level Select, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. So, peace. This wasn't even beer. This is just cider. I'm not going to drink a beer if I have a gluten intolerance. It's just, why would I even buy a beer? I'm not going to keep beer in the house if I can't drink it. So, that's the thing I'm most offended by, is you thinking I would hurt my body through something so senseless. I kind of hate that octopus.